Welcome to Dare, the show for startup leaders, innovators, and entrepreneurs who dare to shape the future. Dare is brought to you by the Oregon Entrepreneurs Network, OEN, and Darwaft, the superpower tech team that can make your vision a reality. The Dare Show is excited to welcome Zeke Camusio. He is a serial entrepreneur. He's the founder of DataSpeaks, an AI-powered analytics platform that helps companies identify sales and invest in the right marketing strategies. So Zeke has a great background in economics and data science. He's developed AI, machine learning, and data analytics solutions, and we're happy to have him here today. So welcome to the show, Zeke.
Thank you, Neb.
Yeah, so tell us a little bit about your company and what you're doing with DataSpeaks.
Yeah, so I have been in the digital marketing space for about 20 years, and I had an agency I sold about 10 years ago. Since then, I've been consulting. And on both fronts, whether it was as an agency owner or consulting, I realized that all my clients had the exact same issue. They
Mm,
couldn't figure out where their sales were coming from. They had all this conflicting data and they didn't know what to invest in, what channels, what campaigns. So I started developing machine learning models to help them answer that question. And I realized quickly enough that everybody I talked to needed this solution. So I decided to found DataSpeaks.
right, it's a classic problem. You have sales, but you don't know where they originated from. So if
Mhm.
I can double click on your mission, how are you doing it?
Yeah, great question. So I think it's important to talk about the way most people do it so we can talk about how we do it differently. So the way most people do it is they have pixels, which is a piece of code that you get from Google Ads or Meta or basically anywhere where you run ads. The problem with that is that they are not designed to be used as a way to track sales and they're on average off by 50%. So if a campaign claims making you $10,000 in revenue, maybe it made you five, maybe made you 15. And if you don't know what drives your sales, you can't possibly invest in the right marketing. So what I realized back in the day is that the way every solution coming to the market was trying to solve the problem was by trying to track individual users on every device and every channel, which is very difficult because everybody is really demanding more privacy. So the answer to how we do it is we use what even advertising platforms these days recognize is the new standard, which is called unified measurement. So unified measurement is built on three pillars: media mix modeling, incrementality experiments, and attribution. So media mix modeling is really the foundation of that. And what we do is we bring all your data into one place. So your all your advertising data, sales data, and then we look with machine learning, we look for patterns. So if every time you increase your budget for a certain campaign, your sales go up, or every time you decrease it, your sales go down, that's telling you a lot about the impact of that. So machine learning is a big piece of that. Then experiments allow you to validate that. So if you pause Google Ads in California, what happens to your sales? And then attribution is using first party tracking to identify the behavior of you as a user and building a single view of the customer journey so I can understand individual users. And when you combine all three, really you get the holy grail in one single source of truth.
One single source of truth. That sounds like a perfect thing for most people who are trying to advance sales in that they don't have to go to 4 or 5 different systems to figure it out, right?
Yeah, that's the issue. If you have multiple sources for your data, you never really know which one to trust. So what we say is there's nothing that is 100% effective at helping you figure out where each individual cell came from. What we do is 10 times more accurate than pixels. So if you're using pixels, what we found is that on average, we can take the same budget you have right now and without spending a penny more, get you 35% more revenue just by reallocating that to the right channels and campaigns. So it doesn't have to be perfect to be effective.
Yeah, so this is a really interesting solution. Do you see other companies competing in this space, providing this kind of one-stop shop? And how are you navigating that competitive landscape?
Yeah, absolutely. So there are a lot of solutions for each of the three pillars of unified measurement, but we're the only solution in the market doing all three. And there are two main benefits of that. One is that you don't have to triangulate data among three different sources, export, integrate and all that. The other one is that it's much more cost effective to do it that way. So there's a lot of really good solutions for each. And at the end of the day, I love what we do. I feel very proud of our work. But what I invite everybody listening to this to check out is search for unified measurement. You'll see that the method itself is advocated for by every platform: Google, TikTok, Meta. Everybody is saying pixels are not designed to measure sales. This is the way you do it. So I'm a big fan of creating awareness about the approach, regardless of the tool you use to do it.
Yeah, you use the right tool. Don't use a screwdriver when a hammer is the right thing, or vice versa. Yeah.
Correct.
So I'm really curious, like looking at your background, you actually attended Stanford in machine learning. And before that, you were in Argentina studying economics. So, what brought you into this particular field? I know what you're doing right now, but you ended up working in marketing and search engine optimization, SEO. And so, how did you get into that to start with?
Yeah, so I went to school for economics and statistics back in the day. And then I started my own number of companies, some of which failed miserably, some of which did really well. And yeah, I realized probably 10, 15 years ago that machine learning was going to be the big thing. And a lot of the problems that I just couldn't solve doing regular data analysis, I just needed to get computers involved. So I started getting into data science and building solutions for my clients, which at the time I found to be even more productive than going to Stanford, because it was like just hands on work and understanding their problems and really understanding the domain expertise. And that's a huge piece of machine learning. You have to be very good at working with different algorithms and troubleshoot different situations. But if you really understand the domain very, very well, you'll be able to create a much better model than the guy next to you who doesn't.
So, actually knowing what you're talking about matters.
Yeah, absolutely. Because you build a model to reflect your understanding of the world. So if your understanding of the world is very limited, your model will be too.
Yeah. So I need to ask you the question that is on everyone's mind right now. Back, a couple years ago, SEO and Google optimization were the way to go, and getting your stuff on Meta and TikTok and measuring that was the way to go. But now with AI summarization is changing the game again. So how is Data Speaks reacting to that big change, and what kind of advice do you have for your clients?
Yeah, so DataSpeaks focuses on paid media, so advertising. So it doesn't really affect us much. But in terms of what's going on and how that's affecting most people out there, I think it's fair to say that I think if I were to say that SEO is dead, it would be, clickbaity and probably a little bit too out there, But I would say that it's
Wait,
it's
wait,
gonna
wait. So
yeah.
maybe you heard it here first. SEO is dead. I'm totally kidding.
No, I think it's dead
Yeah.
as it is now, right? But the reality is that, as you said, there's zero click searches, right? Like you ask your agent the question and you just get the answer based on the data that it was trained on. So the way to respond to that is one, you want to create as much original content as possible. So if you are, repurposing content from elsewhere, you're never going to be the authority. So one example of that is if you work in the construction space and you interview the top 25 construction firms about the trends they expect for 2026, that's something that you created that nobody else has access to. So when people ask questions about that, you're going to be one of the authorities that the AI models pull from. And then the other thing that I think is important in terms of AI is to think about the way we use AI and how that's different from the way we use search. So in search, we use keywords. In AI, we use a more conversational tone. So when you can think about what are the top 10 or 20 questions people are going to be asking about this particular topic, and then you can create content around that, around those questions, that's going to be much more effective than trying to optimize for specific keywords.
Wise words from someone who knows the market and knows the technology. Yeah. So where is Data Speaks going next?
Well, we have a lot of really cool stuff going on right now. I mean, we spent about a year and a half building the core solution and we
Mhm.
launched at the beginning of the year. So just this First year is always, very frantic, this go to market, but it's going really well. We've got a lot of traction in the first half of the year, and we're looking to scale everything we do. So we're hiring engineers, data scientists, salespeople, and trying to do more. We are in a very good place where we found a very expensive problem people have and a really effective way to solve that problem. And now it's all about getting in front of more CMOs, booking more calls, and getting more sales. And that's mostly what I spend my days doing these days.
Yeah. So, how do you get the word out? Do you actually put ads up online and then chart the progress of your ads?
We're not doing ads yet. That's coming up. So we have a three-phase go-to-market strategy. First phase is it's not very scalable. So it's essentially me going through my network and talking to CMOs and agency owners about what's your problem? Is there anything we can do to help? Trying to understand what's going on. And that's been really eye-opening in terms of, I made a lot of assumptions about what the problem was that were incorrect or
Hmm.
how to talk about it. So I'm finding that my story gets better and better every time I talk to someone. And we are raising a seed round at the moment. So that's going to help us essentially bring more people on board and do much more. At that point, sales is not going to be only by the founder. We're going to have a sales team and, run ads and, just do more of what we're doing now at a higher scale.
Yeah. Sounds like a great vision for the future.
Yeah.
So, of course, the most important question I'll ask is Zeke, what do you dare to dream?
I dare to dream. I'm going to answer this question in two different ways, one business wise and one on a personal level. We have a big vision for the company. We want to make sure that right now, brands optimizing based on pixels are wasting a third of their budget. And our vision is to put that money back in their pocket. So there are 50,000 companies that fit our ideal customer profile. We want to get 20,000 of those in the next 10 years. Personally, I have three kids. They are 6, 4, and 9 months. So spending as much time as possible with them and my wife is a huge priority for me. I don't know exactly what that's going to look like. And more so, I don't care too much about how we spend that time as long as we spend it together.
Oh, that's a really good point. Yeah, it's more important to be with each other than it is to have any particular activity dominate. Yeah,
Mhm.
fantastic. Well, really appreciate your insight and thoughts today, Zeke. And where can people go to find out more about Data Speaks and about your next adventures?
Yeah, you can go to dataspeaks.ai and you can find me on LinkedIn.
Fantastic. Thank you for your time, Zeke.
Thank you, Nat.
Thanks to our guests today for their insights into the entrepreneurial ecosystem. We wish you all the best in your startup journey. The Dare Show is brought to you by the Oregon Entrepreneurs Network and by Darwaf, the superpower tech team that can make your vision a reality. Visit us at oen.org or at darwaf.io. Thanks again for listening. Till next time.